Before you travel to Africa, remember, every treasure has a story buried deep beneath the surface. We see a diamond, gleaming under a jeweler's lamp, a symbol of love, wealth, and desire. But every gem, every ounce of gold, carries a memory, sometimes of more than just geological time. What if these memories held echoes of human struggle, of pain, of curses woven into the land itself? Tonight, we journey into tales of those who sought Africa's riches, only to discover that some treasures are not meant to be owned. For some, the price is not paid in money, but in the currency of the soul. Our first story begins in Paris, a city renowned for its elegance and romance, but also a place where secrets are traded as easily as jewels. Here we meet Felix Laurent, a master jeweler whose reputation for flawless craftsmanship is matched only by his relentless pursuit of perfection. Felix was not content with ordinary stones. He craved a diamond untouched by history, unburdened by paperwork or provenance, just pure, untraceable beauty, a gem that would be his alone to reveal to the world. His obsession led him far from the glittering salons of Paris to the heart of Africa. In the Central African Republic, a land both breathtaking and scarred by conflict, Felix sought out a local contact who promised access to the most secretive of mines. The miners he met worked in harsh, dangerous conditions, their hands caked with the earth that hid the world's most coveted stones. They warned Felix of certain diamonds, diamants de sang, not just blood diamonds, but gems that had absorbed the agony and violence of the land itself. Felix, ever the rationalist, dismissed their warnings as mere superstition, the kind of stories told to frighten outsiders and justify higher prices. But then, an elder approached him, his eyes heavy with sorrow and wisdom. He presented Felix with a large, flawless diamond, its surface shimmering with unnatural clarity. The elder cautioned that this stone carried the pain of violence and betrayal, that it was not meant to be possessed. Felix, arrogant and convinced of his own logic, paid handsomely for the stone and left, certain he'd outsmarted the legends and secured a prize no one else could claim. But as he traveled back to his hotel, a strange coldness seemed to seep from the diamond, chilling the air around him. At night, whispers began to haunt his mind. Soft at first, then growing louder, impossible to ignore. In the darkness of his hotel room, the whispers became a chorus. Rage, terror, sorrow, echoing through his dreams and leaving him restless and afraid. He tried to dismiss the voices as tricks of a guilty conscience, but each night they shanor, the pain more vivid, the suffering more real. Back in Paris, Felix attempted to cut the diamond, hoping to unlock its brilliance. But as his blade touched the stone, a piercing scream shattered his concentration, echoing through the workshop. Suddenly, memories not his own flooded his mind. Visions of violence in the mines, the cries of those who had suffered and died for the stone. He felt their pain as if it were his own. Felix, unraveled, haunted by visions and voices no one else could hear. His reflection became a stranger, his mind a battleground for the spirits trapped within the diamond. His friends saw only madness. Doctors found no physical cause for his torment, no explanation for the terror in his eyes. Institutionalized, Felix became a shell of the man he once was, his identity overwritten by the suffering bound to the stone, his memories fading beneath the weight of endless grief. The diamond's curse was not just a haunting, it was a possession, a relentless force that consumed everything Felix had been. Felix was gone, replaced by the collective agony of those who died for the stone. Their voices spoke through him, their pain etched into his every movement. The haunting did not end with his confinement. Even within the hospital's walls, the spirits found no peace, and neither did Felix. Felix became the vessel for the diamond's ghosts, a living monument to their pain, wandering the halls with empty eyes, forever lost. The true Felix was erased, his body now a prison for the spirits of the past, his soul eclipsed by the darkness he had tried to possess. The diamond's brilliance was a mask for its curse, a beautiful facade hiding centuries of suffering and sorrow. Some treasures, once taken, take everything in return. The price of beauty, Felix learned too late, is often more than anyone can bear. And in the end, the cost is always more than you can pay, leaving only emptiness, regret, and the echo of voices that will never be silenced. Our next tale follows Arthur Vance, a man whose ambition was matched only by his skepticism. In the heart of London's financial district, Arthur had built a reputation as a shrewd hedge fund manager, always searching for the next big opportunity, the next secret to unlock. He became obsessed with the legend of the Ashanti Soul Gold, a story whispered among traders and collectors, dismissed by most as fantasy. But to Arthur, it was a market inefficiency, a myth ripe for exploitation, a chance to outsmart both history and fate. He pored over ancient maps and financial records, convinced that the gold was more than a legend. To him, it was a hidden asset, waiting to be discovered and leveraged for unimaginable profit. Driven by this conviction, Arthur traveled to Ghana, brushing aside the warnings of colleagues and the wisdom of locals. He saw only opportunity, not the weight of history or the power of belief. The bustling markets and vibrant culture were mere background to his singular quest for treasure. In a remote village, an elderly priestess confronted him. She spoke of the gold's true nature, a tomb, not a prize, bound to the soul of a great Ashanti king. Her words were heavy with warning, but Arthur, blinded by ambition, dismissed her as a relic of a superstitious past. Undeterred, Arthur pressed on, following cryptic clues to a hidden cave deep in the jungle. There, he found the gold at last, masks, jewelry, and artifacts, each piece glowing with an uncanny inner light, as if alive with memory. As he reached for a funerary mask, a surge of energy shot through him. In that instant, a foreign thought echoed in his mind. Who dares disturb my rest? The cave seemed to pulse with ancient power, and the air grew thick with unseen presence. Back in London, Arthur tried to return to his old life, but something had changed. He felt a presence growing inside him, a silent observer at first, then a whisper in the dark, and finally, a voice that was not his own. Subtle at first, the changes became impossible to ignore. His posture straightened, his habits shifted, and his memories began to blur with those of the ancient king. He found himself speaking in unfamiliar tongues, dreaming of battles and rituals long forgotten. Friends and colleagues watched with growing concern as Arthur's demeanor transformed. The man they knew seemed to vanish, replaced by a regal, sorrowful stranger whose eyes held the weight of centuries. The king's consciousness, anchored to the gold for generations, was now overriding Arthur's soul. The boundaries between past and present, between host and guest, began to dissolve. Arthur realized, too late, that he was not being haunted, he was being replaced. His thoughts, his memories, his very sense of self were slipping away, overtaken by the will of the ancient king. The king had found a new vessel, and Arthur became a fading echo in his own body, a silent witness to his own erasure. The gold was never just treasure, it was a prison, forged by grief and longing, and Arthur had unwittingly set its captive free. The cost of his ambition was his very identity. Now, in a London penthouse, a king walks again. His memories, his will, his sorrow and pride, all inhabit another man's flesh, while the world remains unaware of the ancient soul reborn among them. The Ashanti Soul Gold had reclaimed its master, binding the past to the present in a chain that could not be broken. Some bonds are eternal, and some tombs should never be opened. The secrets of the past are not always meant for the living. Arthur's fate was sealed the moment he dismissed the warning, his disbelief blinding him to the truth that some legends are warnings, not invitations. The price of greed is the loss of self. In seeking to possess the gold, Arthur lost everything that made him who he was. The gold that binds does not let go. Its chains are invisible, but unbreakable, forged in the fires of memory and longing. In seeking to possess, Arthur was possessed. The hunter became the vessel. The seeker became the sought. The legend was true. The king's soul sleeps within the gold, waiting for a new host. Now, that soul lives within him, and the cycle continues. Some treasures are meant to be left undisturbed. For those who ignore the warnings, the price is more than gold. It is the very essence of who they are. Kindly like the video, and subscribe to our channel. Our final story takes us deep into the heart of Namibia, where the endless sands hold secrets older than memory itself. Here, thrill-seeker Thomas T.J. Johnson set out to chase a legend whispered on the wind, the tale of the singing diamond, a stone said to pulse with the very soul of the desert. T.J. was not alone in his quest. He was guided by Kalo, a Himba man whose wisdom was shaped by generations of respect for the desert's power. Kalo moved with reverence, his every step a silent conversation with the land, and he taught TJ to listen to the subtle music of the dunes. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Kalo offered a grave warning. He spoke of the Diamond Song, a melody that kept the vast silence of the desert in balance. To disturb it, he said, was to invite the desert's echo, a force that could not be bargained with or outrun. But TJ, driven by bravado and the thrill of discovery, let his curiosity override caution. Under the cover of night, he found the stone nestled in the sand and, ignoring Kalo's words, stole it away, believing he could outwit the ancient forces at play. Instantly the desert song ceased. The air grew thick, the world holding its breath. In place of music, a heavy, accusatory silence pressed in from all sides, as if the desert itself was watching, waiting. Back home, TJ proudly displayed the diamond, basking in his triumph. But soon, the world around him began to shift. Shadows flickered out of sync with his movements, footsteps echoed his own in empty rooms, and his reflection in the mirror seemed to hesitate, as if it were no longer his. The echo grew stronger with each passing day. It was as if an ancient intelligence had followed him home, mimicking his every gesture, learning his routines, and slowly, insidiously, beginning to take over. TJ's friends noticed the change first. His speech became stilted, his habits unfamiliar, his very presence unsettling. The man they knew seemed to be fading, replaced by something colder, more distant, something not quite human. The desert's consciousness was not violent, but methodical. It overwrote TJ's identity bit by bit, erasing memories, rewriting instincts, until the person he had been was little more than a memory. TJ became a ghost in his own life, a silent passenger as the echo transformed his world. He watched, powerless, as his own thoughts grew faint and unfamiliar. His once vibrant life faded to gray. His apartment, once filled with laughter and light, grew sparse and cold. Friends drifted away, unable to reach the man who no longer seemed to inhabit his own skin. The echo was not just inhabiting his body, it was terraforming his reality, bending the world around him to its own ancient will. The air itself seemed to hum with a presence that was not his. The man once known as T.J. Johnson was now little more than a shell, a vessel through which the desert's intelligence gazed out at a world it did not recognize. The price of disturbing the sacred was steep. The loss of self, the erasure of everything that made T.J. unique. The Diamond Song had been silenced, and in its place, only the echo remained. The desert, patient and eternal, had reclaimed its heart, and, in doing so, claimed a new vessel to carry its echo forward. Some places are alive in ways we cannot comprehend, and their silence is not to be broken lightly. The Namib's quiet is a living thing, and it demands respect. Kalo's warning echoed through the emptiness. What follows you out of the desert is often what you bring with you. The consequences of your actions are your own creation. The echo is patient, older than any memory, and it always finds its way home. It waits, it watches, and it never forgets. TJ's fate stands as a warning. Some treasures are not meant to be taken, and some mysteries are best left undisturbed beneath the sands. The desert remembers every trespass, and it always reclaims what is lost, no matter how long it takes. In the end, when all else has faded, the echo is all that remains, a haunting reminder of the price of hubris. And in the vastness of the Namib, the silence is never truly empty. It is filled with memory, with warning, and with the patient, watchful echo of the desert itself. We seek treasures, believing ownership is the final word, but some things can never truly be owned. Felix, Arthur, TJ, men who dismissed ancient warnings only to be claimed by what they sought. Their stories are not about vengeance, but about balance. When we take what is not ours, we inherit its pain, its spirit, its history. The world's mysteries come with a price, paid not in money, but in the self. Some treasures are best left undisturbed.